Yes, I can hear you.
And the Zoom user, that's you, Victor, then, right?
That's me. Sorry. Yep.
All right.
And I can hear too. Robin, I can hear too. It's Wendy. I'm fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I can hear you too, Robin, it's Dale.
Got it.
Okay. So if we're ready to go.
Mhm.
I'd like to call the meeting of the Beaufort County Board of Education Operations Committee to order, March 14th, 2023. This is being held in the District Education Service Center, but it's also hybrid conferencing beginning at 5 o'clock. And the agenda is published, and I'd like to start the agenda with the Pledge of Allegiance. Stan?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have need a motion to approve the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
I will second it. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 2-0. Okay, public comments. Do we have any public comments?
No, sir.
No public comments. The first item on the agenda is the construction update. So, Rob, are you going to give that today?
I am, sir.
Well, I
And
can't.
I'll keep it moving for you.
Great.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to provide an executive construction update. Long lead times and inflationary cost increases continue to be encountered. There are 3 yellow traffic lights that appear in this month's report. First one is associated with Robert Smalls International Academy. That slides 6 through 8, and that's ongoing monitoring of the previously reported switchgear delivery concerns. That switchgear is scheduled to ship this week, and we fully expect to be able to return that yellow light to a green light status next month. The next one is with May River High School, slide 12. Once again, we're just making sure that the coordination between the field house renovations and that first home football game on August 18th goes smoothly. So the project manager continues to monitor and address those as they appear. And the last one is for Hilton Head Island ECC, slide 14. We've had a delay be experienced associated with completion of the 100% construction documents. Project managers had the meetings with the design consultant and his subs, and we're going to use a page turn review meeting to expedite the completion of the reviews that remain. And Thompson Turner has also committed to providing the GMP proposal within 2 weeks of receipt of the 100% CDs. Good news is that the completion of this work is still scheduled to occur in the 4th quarter of this year. Next update, touch on real briefly at St. Helena Elementary School for the gym renovations, slide 56. Painting of the brick infill area where those exterior building letters is located was completed last week on March 8th. And the exterior appearance looks a lot better now that it's been painted. I know Robert
Pops out a little bit.
It does.
Yeah, I was trying to find a picture. It looks,
Yeah,
I
I got it pulled up.
was gonna say it looks really good.
Give me a
Yeah,
second.
it's got a contrasting background.
Well, it makes it look soft. I mean, it makes it look cohesive, I'd say. It looks.
This is something Mr. Smith is.
Yes.
Interested in.
That's
Oh, yeah, now.
So we've already done step 1, which was
Right.
pressure washing.
Right.
Step 2 is
Right.
paint the infill area, and what we have next is scheduled to take place this summer break. And that's associated with the new canopy at the gym entry, correct?
Right.
No, I give Mr. Smith credit. That was glad he stayed on it
Yeah,
because that's a
yeah.
much better product.
No, it
looks
looks
really
like
good.
a lot better.
It does.
Yeah.
And I think that once we bring this canopy piece across the finish line,
Yeah.
I need to ask, who is on the iPhone?
Hey, can you hear me, Robin?
Yeah, who is this?
This
Ingrid?
is Ingrid. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you.
All right,
This vote, right?
thank you.
Good afternoon. Moving right along, provide a couple updates under our ESSER projects, the bipolar ionization project, slide 73. Total of 16 locations have been completed now. Devices have been installed at the remaining 10 locations. And the work that remains is just connecting up the controls and going through the testing. Bottle full projects, slide 74, installations have been completed now at 14 of the locations.
Okay.
Project closeouts for FY 2019, 8% capital improvement projects. There's one project that remains. Under FY 2020, there's 7 projects that remain. And for our referendum projects, slides 76 to 78, there's 16 projects now that have been completed to date. And if you're also tracking with the financial 519 report, that's our attachment 3 that was in today's materials. We're using green shading for those rows so that we can see when financial commitments have been completed. And as of the end of February, there's a total of 109 financial commitments that have now been completed. Providing a financial update from slide 80. The financial update is being reported with a green traffic light. Current referendum budget is $375,710,000. Paid and committed funds through the end of February total $335,098,128. That's almost 90% of the overall total budget. Paid expenditures through the end of February now total $206,599,754. That represents about 55% of the overall total budget. Remaining available funds, including contingency that remain at the end of February, total $40,611,872. Contingency activity in February included returning savings of $711,665 and use of $201,895. Details associated with that are furnished in the contingency log, but is also distributed if you want to see more details besides that brief there. The contingency that remains at the end of February totals $8,790,297. And
Okay, before you leave off this, I'm going to ask you the question that was asked at the clock for the record on the operations committee. Are we going to have a soft landing?
yes, we are. The analysis is still indicating that the remaining referendum scope can be completed with the remaining available funds. You beat me to it. That was my last bullet point for that section, sir. But thank you for the question. I think it's an important one
Yes.
that I will touch on each meeting forward from this
Yes.
point.
Yes.
Community outreach, reporting some activities associated with the advanced design for Hilton Head Island High School. That's slide 87. We've got Little Diversified that had sent out a survey for some feedback on their design elements. And by the end of February, over 1,000 responses and counting have been reserved. So that was well received and well responded to. We had discussions held with the design visions with the Hilton Head Island High School student government on February 28th. And earlier this morning at 7 a.m., we had a meeting with the Hilton Head Island High School staff to go over that. And we are still in the process of coordinating the meetings with Hilton Head Island Middle School parents and the Hilton Head Island Middle School student government.
Can you tell me what that staff, what does that consist of, and who is that? Who was that staff?
That's their entire staff. So it's,
So that's someone, yeah, I met with the entire school staff. And
that's when they have their normal staff meeting is at 7 prior to the school day. And so that's when they met with them and presented. So this is their second meeting with the Hilton Head High School staff. We had a really good turnout. The first meeting got a lot of responses back. Little took those responses along with the survey responses and brought, I believe, 3 concepts to the staff for the
They
bill.
just did the one.
Oh, they just did the one.
After meeting with Steve and they just did the one.
I take it back. They brought a concept
They got
back
that concept.
for the staff to show them what they had learned or make sure it was in line with what the staff had been saying. And I was not there. Freddie, Mr. Lawton was there and said it was very well received and had a lot of input. And they also met with the Hilton Head government, high school government group, this morning as well.
Oh, good. Another one.
Well, my concern, my question is, what's the purpose of meeting with with staff?
Well, a lot of times, I have to say that comes out of you as a board. We hear, I hear a lot of comments about make sure we have the teachers' input, make sure they're involved in the design process. So this is to make sure that they have a participating role in the design process for the school.
Okay, and I'm just asking that because I remember, just for example, that we involved St. Helena community and the staff and we're involved in it, and we pitched this big, pretty building and this, this opening that they didn't want, and we gave them a wish list, and they felt as though that meeting with them was saying, okay, after you met with them a couple of times, said, okay, this is what you want, and all that stuff went away, and that didn't happen. I'm just trying to understand in terms of what was all going into that, because I don't want what happened over there happening anywhere else, because that is really that's an unhealthy feeling for the people in that community. So I just want to make sure that same temperature is not the same temperature anywhere, that we don't leave anybody else heartbroken the way we got that community.
So it's a very good point. I'd say what they showed the staff was very conceptual. It's just layouts and blocks of people of where different classrooms are located and how the building would circulate. It was not any design elements such as elevations or anything like that. And everything right now is still very conceptual. I mean, they're making sure that the general layout that they're showing is in line with the staff's vision before they really get into the details.
Earl's hands up.
Pardon me?
Earl's hands up.
Let's check and see if Mr. Nay has any comment, other committee members. Mr. Nay, do you have any questions on the briefing?
I do not. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Campbell.
Yes, I was just wanted to ask Robert about Robert Smalls. Is that going to be ready for class in August?
Yes, sir. The big item is the electrical switchgear that's supposed to ship this week. So we're really watching that closely to make sure it gets here. But all indications are, yes, we're going to be in line for the open. We're very excited about that.
Okay, thank you.
In fact, I need to get with Robin on some dates for ribbon cutting. So we need to start talking about that now to make sure the board's available. And so, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Dates coming soon for the ribbon cutting.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Campbell. Ms. Ing, Ms. Boatwright, do you have anything?
No, but I will throw in, since you asked, that I appreciate the staff input, because this is going to be a huge project for one of our larger schools. And so I think, and I know that at Hilton Head, when we've done like the field house redesign, the staff has input and then it gets cut down to what's realistic within the budget, because like they like to tease our athletic director, if he had his way, it was like an NCAA field house, and then we got to kind of trim it down to what's realistic financially and what meets the needs. So I understand the frustration, but I am glad that the district is, and I really love that, the students are having some say, because they bring a perspective that you can't get from anyone else. So that was my only comment.
And Freddie did tell us there's a lot of good feedback from the students this morning. The architect took all that away and will hopefully bring that in their next version.
Okay, Mr. Smith, do you have anything else you want to mention?
No, I just basically, I said, kind of what I said, I just want to make sure that we don't leave any staff with any, within staff or community with any misinterpretation upon what the message is. And I understand, yeah, I'm all for staff having to say, so I'm all for staff understanding, because if for something to put teeth in it, for example, if something could assist of a health class, there may need to be something in the area for the mannequin to be displayed at. So I understand now, I'm all for that, but I just want to make sure that we're all on the same accord. Point blank period.
Okay.
Thank you.
Colonel Guyer, I have two more things to put in at the end. Associated with request for proposals, RFPs, and request for qualifications. The RFP 23012, that's for the construction manager for Hilton Head Island High School addition and renovation. Responses received on February 23rd are currently being evaluated. We hope to be bringing forward a recommendation to the board for approval of the firm shortly. And then the RFQ, request for qualification, that's associated with RFQ 23-013. That's an architect for a new Bluffton Elementary School. Responses.
Elementary school in Bluffton.
And the May River.
Yeah,
Did I say it wrong again? I did. I was trying so darn. Excuse me, it's a new elementary in the Bluffton area. Those responses are due on March 29th. And then once those come in, we'll be putting together the selection committee, review them, and then we'll be bringing a recommendation to the full board. That concludes my executive instruction update.
And this will be given to the full board at the next board meeting.
Which board meeting will that be? It'll be April 4th, I think, or 3rd or 4th. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. I just wanted to make sure because I heard that we've got a little change next week and you've got something going on, I think, on Friday possibly.
Friday is our work session.
Correct. So I'll plan on doing that at the first meeting in April. Perfect.
All right, move to the next item on the agenda, and that is work order basics. Mr. Audi.
Yes, so thank you. This was actually, we're bringing this forward to the operations committee based on the request from Ms. Boatwright at the last board meeting. This is just a general discussion and overview of how work, and it's more a dialogue. So if you have any questions, feel free to jump in. Miss Brandy Majors oversees custodial maintenance and grounds, and she is going to be presenting. So,
thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to speak with y'all tonight and put this information out there. So some of the topics we're going to briefly touch point on is what is a CMMS, the workflow of a work order, entering a work order, and what we are looking at in the future for a CMMS program. The CMMS is, for those of you that don't know, stand for Computer Maintenance Management System. Beaufort County School District currently uses SchoolDude, which is a Brightly software package. We currently have 5 modules that we utilize within that package. Maintenance Direct is the module we use for our work orders. FS Direct is for our facilities use and rentals. Utility Direct we use to capture our utility bills at our facilities, and that module also allows our energy manager for the district to pull his annual state report. PM Direct, that is for preventative maintenance. So there's a lot of our systems currently in place in our facilities that require preventative maintenance, such as routine and recurring inspections on AED units, our HVAC systems, just to name a few. And then the last one is Inventory Direct. That module allows us to capture high volume consumables that we are storing in our warehouse. So I just wanted to take a few minutes and kind of show y'all the path that a work order takes briefly, so it starts with a requester. The requester normally is at a school level is normally an office administrator, could be a bookkeeper, an office manager, an AP. That decision really rests with the school principal as to how they want to manage their work orders for their specific facility. Once that requester puts that work order in and enters it, the CMMS system assigns a work order number for that work order, and then that gets put into a routing path. So that routing path goes to our work order administrator, who is a maintenance administrative employee. She takes those new requests and she assigns them out. She has a master list of whom does what throughout the district from a service provider standpoint. And then once that work order is assigned, then the CMMS program auto generates an email that then notifies the person that it's assigned to that they have a work order to address. It also sends auto notifications to the requester. So anytime that work order is updated or action items are taken on it, that requester gets a copy of that school due notification that their work order has been adjusted or changed. The work order system primarily services our contracted service providers. So we funnel our maintenance work orders, our custodial work orders, our grounds. So anytime there's a facility concern that would, encompass those service providers, then that's when those school admins are putting those work orders in. So that is the path that the work orders take.
So just real quick, just to back up, what I heard you say was that a teacher can put a work order in, but a principal does what now? You said the principal directs the path of the work order. Say that again now?
So the work order requester at the school level is whomever that principal has designated. So right now, the way it is set up, it's normally just an example. Some schools have their APs put in work orders. Some schools have their office manager or front office admin person. Each individual school manages their work orders, how they put in those requests based on the principal. So some schools have a Google Doc format where they allow their teachers they have an open Google Doc form where they allow their teachers to enter their service requests or concerns with their facilities in that Google Doc. And then they have an administrator, an office admin, then put those work orders in. Some schools have a more manual system where they actually have a binder in the front office, and those teachers or staff in that building can actually go into the front office or email the front office and say, hey, I've got a concern here. I've got something going on with my room. So that's what it looks like from a school standpoint.
Right. And to me, that's kind of problematic because of the fact that if there's something going on in my class and I'm trying to push a work order in, what that person who pushes through that normally is the office manager. What if the office manager is not there that day? Then or she's out for the week. And they're not really focused on work orders for that week because of the fact that, they're not really thinking of them, so who's taking on that task and what's the problem with a teacher or someone who's called professional pushing a work order through? I mean, I don't see.
There's how many teachers in this district?
No, I was gonna say, our current system is not able to handle the 2,000 teachers that we have. Because we have to update it almost daily on who the people are. It's just the way our systems are set up right now. We're gonna get to some things we're planning in the future.
It's gonna say.
But our current system would not allow us to do that.
Do you think we would have that much work orders?
No, it's just too many employees. We couldn't manage the number of employees for the software. Like if say you're a teacher, you're Mr. Will Smith, and then you move from Red Cedar to Beaufort High. So we would have to update that on a regular basis that Will Smith's no longer Red Cedar, he's at Beaufort High. And that it's just not set up to be able to do that.
Mr. Smith left and so you have to constantly daily go in there. You're not here, they retired or whatever.
So I would say on average, just talking with principals, being in the schools, having meetings on a regular basis with our service providers as well as administrators. On average, schools have 3 individuals roughly that have the ability to put in work orders. So that's, like Robert said, that's where we are right now, but at the very last slide, we hopefully got some really exciting things to talk about getting where you're wanting to get to potentially.
And my only concern is there just because I hear you saying, well, I have this work on it for so long. And the question is, like I tell you, sometimes you can't even have it, so sometimes you can't even ask because you don't know where that water goes and what that process is. So it can get lost between here to the district and how you might not know. So that's why you might just need to go and recheck and see where it's at.
Right.
But if you're saying that now one person isn't there, then now we have another dilemma. But then actually they have 3 people, then that would make sense. So you can't go to 1, you go to 2 and 3. So therefore, it can't get work.
And to address the question of getting the information back to the teacher, I mean, the way the system's set up, it's really up to whoever enters it to get that information out to the teachers. But we did set up with maintenance to leave like the calling cards that they had been here and what work had been done. So if they were in the classroom, they changed the light, they could leave that on the teacher's desk that so-and-so is here, I changed your light bulb or whatever happened that day. So that's kind of been our workaround. It's not best system, but it is a way to get that information to the teacher.
Go ahead, please.
All right, thank you. So this next screen is it's a snapshot. We wanted y'all to see when a requester goes into the system to enter a work order into School Do Maintenance Direct. This is what they're going to see. This is the screen that they're provided with. So as you can see here, this allows them to put in the priority level. Everything is pretty user friendly in the sense that there's just drop down menus. So it does allow them to select the priority, whether it's a high or an emergency. It allows them to select the location, put their contact information in, give a brief description as far as what they're requesting to be done at their facility. And then it goes even further into, from a budgetary standpoint, allowing the school to pre-select specific categories. So some of the examples in those more detailed sections would be if they feel it's a life safety issue, or if they're putting in a work order and it's a plumbing issue and they directly know that it's a plumbing issue. This allows us to filter the data a little bit more. So when it gets to our work order admin, she can assign it appropriately.
So you have a list. So for example, safety and security is number 1, plumbing 2, electrical 3. I know I'm not saying that's what it is, but you have something like that.
Yes, so the maintenance department has a priority list of how they assign work orders out.
And so
Yes,
then
sir.
that means that if somebody's got a safety and security thing, it goes right up to the top, and that's going to be taken care of before the other lower priority, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct. All right, so sorry, okay. So this is the final slide we were getting to, Mr. Smith. So right now, we're really excited. We have been with School Do for approximately 10 plus years. We're excited about, we're working on a scope of work right now to put out a solicitation for a new CMMS package. So these are some of the things, and one of the things you had concerns with is on here. These are some of the things in the new package we're looking at including into the solicitation scope. Vehicle management, that's something that we'd like to have a more systematic and workflow process with. Right now we're doing a lot of manual checks, cloud-based, where we can actually give teachers the opportunity to put in the work order. And then put that work order through a workflow that allows still oversight on the school level, and then still allows that work order to path to all those service providers we need it to go to get the work done. The other thing that has come up during our discussions with the scope of work is also merging with the current IT help desk ticket system. So the great thing about this opportunity is it's potentially going to allow the end user to have a landing page that they can access maintenance work orders, IT work order. So it's a more streamlined system. So they're not having to jump into Maintenance Direct and jumping out of Maintenance Direct to then jump into an IT help desk ticket system. So that's the goal with this new scope that we're trying to get on the street. So that's a big one to try to merge. That's going to be a really big phase to put through to try to merge the IT help desk ticket with the fourth quarter module. And then the last thing is a wish list thing, but we're gonna try to get it, is interactive mapping and bar and QR coding. So those capabilities will allow us to be more hands-on in the field, which really we don't have the capability to do that right now in our current platform. So an example would be if we had a fleet vehicle with a QR code on it, that driver that's going to assign that vehicle could use their phone, scan that QR code, then it would push them to the software platform that would allow them to enter their odometer reading. Maybe it would take them through a checklist of servicing their vehicle. And these are the things they need to do to service their vehicle. And this is who they need to go to. And this is the form they need to upload to request, payment to, service that vehicle. So the possibilities are obviously endless. It's going to take some time to get there because we don't have necessarily all this data. But these are the exciting things that we're looking at in the new CMMS platform.
Okay, questions? Mr. Smith?
No, not really. Yeah, I see you're excited about it, so I'm okay. I'm glad you are. With this budget crunch here. Oh,
Yeah, that's
that's the.
Well, if I can, on the budget item, School Dude still could be the way we go. They have a different version that does accomplish a lot of the things we're doing. And one of the things is they were pushing us to go to that version. So if we stay with School Dude, they're going to push us out to go to their new version, which is going to cost us the same as another. We're going to have to upgrade one way or another. And the other thing I want to bring to everybody's attention, or just make sure for us to change work order systems, this is a major deal. It would be like Tanya changing her financial software. This is massive for us because this is the heart blood of maintenance, is our work order system. So we have to make sure that transition goes smoothly. I mean, during the summer is when that would occur. And then we do want to bring on the vehicle management piece. The IT piece would probably come later. We got to make sure we've got our basic functions down and then add other items to it. So I don't want anybody to think it's going to be overnight and immediate. For all that to be in place, I would not be surprised if it takes a year and a half, 2 years to accomplish all that. Because it's a big deal to us.
And I do imagine that also. It almost sounds like we should have made, if this is done, that we might need maintenance to come back in house because we may need some people who too can work for us and who understand how to process these paperwork and different things of that nature, versus someone who's at a company, because the company might not require them to be able to do some of these functions of that this program may be. I mean, sure, we can write that up in the contract, but why not have them be actual Butte County employees?
Well, the bringing all of maintenance in-house is kind of another subject, but I would say right now maintenance oversees our School Dude and the work order management system. We're going to have to take on the district side, especially if we merge with IT, as we bring vehicle maintenance in, we're going to have to take more responsibility for that piece of managing the software because it's going to do more than just maintenance. The vehicle management piece is more than just maintenance because that's buses, that's food service, that's facilities, that's bigger than maintenance. So we're going to bring as I look at Brandy, who's the person that's gonna be over it, Brandy is gonna bring more of that in-house, as far as the management of the software.
Right, and that's my point, in the management of the software, I think it will take more people, because I'm sure it's gonna take more, I think it's gonna take more than just her to do that, because you got to get people specifically trained in this area of what's going on, and to keep a consistent basis going, and to basically to build a network, just like you don't want to just have a person to move from school to school to a year by year basis, then you're gonna need a team of people who can be consistent and be able to run all these operations without any hiccups.
Mr. Smith, that's another topic, but it is something that we still are in the process of looking at the cost benefit analysis of bringing the
Right.
maintenance back internally, and this is going to impact it, like you
That's
said.
what we're-
And so we're gonna look at that, and that's gonna be a future agenda topic to get more information about doing that. Other question, Victor's hand, Mr. Nay?
Yes, thank you. Question is, are we looking for a new program to take over School Dude? Or are you looking for somebody to write a program that wraps all the stuff in, a larger umbrella database?
So I think the answer would be yes to both your questions. School Dude could do it, but they are not as customized as some of the others. What we've seen from other providers is that they're more able to customize the software to meet exactly the way we want it set up. And so my School Dude is going to be allowed to bid on the RFP, but my thought is there's a good chance that we're going to end up with somebody other than School Dude. Is that fair enough? Or
I think that's a fair statement. We'll say
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
and it would be more all encompassing. Well, I don't know exactly what all encompassing, but all encompassing on the facility side. Managing our assets, managing work orders, managing the PM schedules, managing the facilities use, all that would be included in the software. The biggest part is we're probably getting more on the asset management side. Randy was hitting on it just a little bit with what we can do with vehicles, but in HVAC, if it had a QR code, number one, you could get a work order that says it's unit number 1 and it's shown on a map where unit number 1 is on the roof. You could eventually go to it, scan the QR code, and it could download the manual for that or a set of instructions on what it takes to service this unit, so that someone could have on their iPad as they're at the unit. So that, I mean, all that has to be built. So that's a lot, but it has
Some of it we have.
some of it we have.
Through the facility condition assessment, we
Yeah.
have a lot of that data
Where
on
it's-
now. What we don't have is that thing to tie it all together, to bring that work order system into the data.
Yeah, as part of the facilities condition assessment, we were forward looking and having them locate all the things they assessed in the field. So that can all be brought in.
Mr. Campbell or Miss Boatwright, do you have anything you want to?
Yes, I have a couple of questions. This is something that is really interesting to me. One, when I look at that work entry input, there's a lot of fields, like you said, priority, location. And I know that Facility Dude doesn't have a lot of functionality, but we should be able to generate some reports off of that. Are we able to look at how many work orders are put in by location, how many high priority, what's the length of time between submission of work order and completion of work order, and, looking at it by different ways?
Yes, we are. We are currently in our platform we're using with School Dude right now with workers. We do have the ability to filter data down in those specific categories that you mentioned.
Are those reports being generated, and are they going somewhere?
So reports are generated. We do monthly walkthroughs at school facilities. And when I say we, I'm referring to facility staff as well as maintenance, custodial, and grounds. We do monthly walkthroughs. We alternate between north of the Broad and south of the Broad. So last month we went to Joseph Shanklin, in April, or this month, I'm sorry. In April, we will choose a south of the Broad school to go to and complete a facilities walkthrough with school administration and all of those service providers. At that time, we do pull a work order report to discuss during our meeting as far as what's going on at that facility with administration. The weekly, bi-weekly, monthly maintenance and custodial meetings that are also scheduled and that ABM and HES has been tasked to schedule with school administration. They're also pulling work order reports, the area managers for maintenance. He's also pulling work order reports to discuss during those meetings as well. The third thing we're doing with work order reports is during principal leadership meetings. We are pulling a monthly work order report for each location and giving it to the school principal, as well as emailing the executive director those work order reports on a monthly basis during the principal leadership meetings as well.
Yeah, because to the best of my understanding, I don't think we've ever seen a work order report when we do like our biannual sit downs with ABM and HES. Is that something that we could do, or is that difficult given the current system?
Well, all we do, I mean, you can, what we do right now is in our report, we pull totals. So we would pull the yearly total, which is 22,000 work orders. So, I mean, we can pull what you want, but I don't think any of y'all want us to pull 22,000 work orders. So maybe there's some.
I think the report is,
Wait, let's. I'll recognize you, man. Let's finish this with Ms. Boatright. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying if there's some type or category or something you want to see, even if it's a week, or we could pull a week, like each school, we're pulling monthly reports on work orders for the principals, and those may be 15 pages to 20 pages a school. So talking about,
I would think you could do like a pivot table or something. Just give us. And let me just tell you what my thoughts are. One, I don't want to get into the weeds. Like, I don't want to call up and be like, I'd like a, weekly break. That's y'all's job. And I trust y'all to do that. On the other hand, as a school board member, this is something we probably get asked about more than anything. Right. And we've talked about that and constituent complaints. And, to me, having some sense of that would be helpful, but at a very high level. But I think also going forward to this new system, I think we're clearly, this is where we need to go, and we need to think big in terms of what CMMS we go for, because we should be able to track this fairly frequently. I mean, really, if there was some issue at a constituent school and someone's calling me and saying it's a safety concern, I should be able to call up and just someone can pull up and say, this work order was entered 2 days ago, here's its stat, I don't know if that's something that we can move towards. And I'm not saying it's because I think that school board members should be able to call and get the assessment, but at least something where, because right now I feel like it's somewhat nebulous. Sorry, I'm at a tennis game. Somewhat nebulous in terms of our understanding. We just hear the complaints and we don't have a sense of the work that's being done behind the scenes. And it sounds like with the current system, we're pretty limited. But man, I think that would be a hugely important improvement with the new system.
If I can, what you just described as far as a work order and asking us to pull it up, we can do that right now. So if you said there's a pothole on School Drive, what's the status? And now if you gave us a work order number, that would even be better, but we can do a search and find that and the history of that in the current system. So if you were to call myself or Brandy, we can do that. We can look that up for you. And I actually would encourage that, because knowledge is power, and a lot of times we find the story that's out there isn't it's matching what the work order progress is.
Totally agree.
So and other than something being out there as a rumor that it's never been done in 3 years or whatever is being said, call and ask us and we'll look it up and give you the printout of what we've got on whatever the item is.
That's exactly where I think to go with this is, but the other thing is, what's interesting to me is that we have these certain set people at each school. I think the advantage of being able to have teachers put the work order in is, like you said, when you get rumors, you get complaints, it may be that the process is getting held up at the school level before it even gets to the district. And so it'd be nice to know kind of how that, have a more democratic approach to people putting that in, so that, we don't hear from teachers that they haven't been able to get something done for, 3 years. It does create kind of another step.
What happens a lot of times when you hear that, let's just say a toilet's broken, has never been fixed in 3 years. Well, you look it up and you'll find, well, it was fixed 3 years ago, and then 2 months later it happened, something else happened again. That was fixed, something else happened. That was fixed, something else happened. And you'll see that the times, a lot of times, are reasonable. I mean, it was fixed within 3 days, or it was fixed within 4 days. And then it was another 2 months where it happens again. But to a teacher, when they see something and then may see it 6 months later as being similar or happen again, it's never been fixed. Well, that may not always be the case.
Well, thank you for your presentation. That helps a lot.
Thank you.
Well, let me ask Mr. Campbell. Mr. Campbell, do you have anything you want to ask? Okay, go ahead.
Well, just to back it up to the point of, in terms of what she's asked for in terms of the end in a report. I think I believe that Mrs.
Major.
Mrs.
Majors.
Majors just said that basically the report is broken down into sections. There's broken down into sections on where they said the report said, whether it's toilet, whether it's whatever those groups are. And in terms of that, every school, I believe, will break down the reports and say that we've had this much report sent to us, and you've had 5 toilet situations, you've had 6 outside. So I think the report can be simply reciprocated over monthly with those breakdowns. Basically, we've had 18 reports out of 8, or we've had 20 reports out of 20 reports. We may have 5 toilets, maybe 5 classroom issues, 5 audio issues. So therefore, all the 20 that you've had, it can show what category they were in, and basically a simple report. I'm not thinking that we're asking it page for page, like you said, or some of us say getting weeds. I think that's a simple report that can't be done. I mean, I don't see why it shouldn't be, because if it ain't made, then it should be done. Because also, then my question will come to leadership. Then is how are we really keeping track of what's really being done, and do we know what is really being done in this district? Because that's a simple report, and I've been on other boards in different places, and by golly, if you can't give me that report, then that's concerning. So I mean, I don't think that what she asked for, I don't think it has to be intentional like if you ask for it. I think that's a simple way that I'm sure that you should get that report now. It shouldn't be hard to get to the board or whoever asked for it for me or something. Just to know that it's getting done, and to be able to see, hey, look here, hey, our teacher, before that were bringing me these reports and say that make this one do anything. I'm going to tell you, I've been looking at these reports lately, and I want to tell you, there's a large amount of requests that comes in, and I see for myself now. I'm processing this myself. Not being in that department, I'm seeing that they go through a large amount of calls, and they get yours. They prioritize it, and they get to it. Please just bear with it. Then that changes the whole conversation, and that they take that negative energy or that panicking issue to calm it down and to give them that restraint and say, let me give them a chance. So I think everybody has to work together to get this thing done. Everybody can give or take a little bit.
Okay, let me wrap this up. I really think that when you get this new program in, that a real-time visual readout should be very easily accessible.
Mm-hmm.
And data is data, and data should be available for anybody in the district to use it. So if a teacher wanted to know, I'm in room 207 at Broad River Elementary, I can punch it in, and there it is. I mean, it's a relational database, but that's well within technology, And when are you gonna put an RFP out? To get some vendors to come in and give you
I'm gonna look down at Brandy. I know she's been working with Kaylee to finalize that. I think we're
Yes.
very
We
close.
we are very close, so we're hoping within the next few weeks. We were hoping to get it out a few weeks ago, and we started conversations about merging IT, which we had not previously had that discussion before, which it's beneficial to have that. So we're looking at completing that within the next few weeks. It will have to stay out for the public to review and submit for 3 weeks, for a minimum of 3 weeks. So we're still tracking to be looking more towards the end of April.
And what is the current program cost you right now?
Each module costs us between $5,000 and $10,000 a year.
So for each module, we are on an annual renewal cycle that the term is from July 1 to June 30. That roughly, I don't have the exact figure, but we're just over 50,000 a year for the entire platform.
Okay. And I can anticipate that if you merge the other functions in, it's going to cost more than.
It will, and as Mr. Otting said, it's for us where we are right now, we're at the fork in the road. So it's
Okay.
going to cost us more regardless, because School Dude is pushing us to upgrade to their new suite, which is more of an asset management driven suite. So we're looking at increased costs regardless,
Okay, so-
because they're no longer going to support several modules. of
So you're
ours.
working with finance to put a bogey into the budget process for this.
It is in our request.
Okay.
We did identify it for
Okay.
FY 24 as an increase.
Okay. I think we can move on.
Well, just before we move on, I just want to say this, I hear what we're saying about moving about this program. I'm definitely in support of it, but I just don't, that's how when I speak, and sometimes I feel like when we take this move on, it becomes, and when you do it too much, it becomes sort of dismissive. And I don't want my message to get lost in what I just said. I still think that we can still have that report to be done to start that, because I believe that will also give board members buy-in to get this program. So I just think that the comment that Ms. Boatwright had just made, if we could get some type of report coming in to let us know the level and the volume of what work orders look like, that would be appreciative. At some point in time, if it doesn't, then I will make a request, because I just think that's imperative that we work together on that and we understand what's going on as give the public.
Okay, let's move on. Let's move on. The next item on the agenda is the River Ridge
Sure, we can
easement.
move on, but just like I said,
I got it.
yeah, okay,
You got it.
okay,
You
yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
Let's not.
I'm not beating it down, but when you talk sometimes it's dismissive, it's an appreciative. That's what I'm saying.
Mr. Smith, I'm running this meeting.
And I understand.
I'm running this
But we
meeting
can
and
respect,
we're moving along.
and we can do respect too.
And we're moving on.
I'm sorry, I'm just want to say.
Thank you. Work order basics. We finished that. River Ridge easement update.
Ms. Carol Crutchfield is going to kind of up where we left off is, we presented to the operations committee. That went in the operations committee report to the board at the last meeting, and the comments were that they wanted, the question was asked whether or not we had discussed this with the principal. And my response at that time was we had not. Since that time, we've had a couple conversations with Mr. Ryman, who's the principal of River Ridge Academy, about this easement. Made sure he was aware of it. He had some questions. He's going to go there. What were the overall plans for the development? And Ms. Crutchfield has been talking with the developer, so I'll let you answer that as far as those.
You've covered a lot of the ground there. So, Mr. Ryman's concerns as a principal, obviously, is what's going in there, being so close, accessing their road. He didn't want a liquor store or vape shop or anything like that going in there. By law, something like that could not occur because they were within 300 feet of school property. So that ease a lot of worries there. But the developer also reassured us what he's gonna build is a business service kind of place. What he envisions is, a paint store or a, plumbing supply, something with a front office with a not even a usually public, but more contractor kind of thing, and warehouse space in the back. So that's what he's envisioning this building to be and what he anticipates renting to. He does not want, he has no that would not support a vape shop or any of the things that the principal had concerns about. So we feel very comfortable with the developer and what they're saying. That we feel like they,
And in the end,
that's what they're gonna build, and that's what'll be in there,
they'll have to get a permit. Yeah.
Absolutely,
Before
absolutely.
They can be adjusted as required. In other
Correct.
words, if there's somebody that
Yes.
comes in, they'll have to file a permit.
Mhm.
And if it's a permit that we don't want to have close by, we can
We
object.
can always
It would
object
be
to that
public
as well.
comment.
Correct, yes, that would go to the town block.
So then that means that we're ready to bring it back to the full board for approval.
Yeah, Mr. Ryman did not have any.
Any issues?
So we need to put that on the agenda as part of the operations committee report for approval of that.
And that's the easement for,
River Ridge Academy, if you remember
when they
on,
got paid that time.
yes.
Yes, he did. Driveway, they had deeded that over to us and they sort of forgot to give themselves access back to their property.
Right.
So,
Well, I would think, Mr. Chairman, that we would has giving that back to, well, I think that somebody from this committee may want to make a motion to the board that we are in favor of it, or we're against that.
Okay, do we have a motion to recommend to the full board that they approve this?
Yeah, I would recommend to the full board that we approve this easement to what is his name?
River Ridge.
University investments.
Do we approve the university investments? Is that what you said, Ms. Christian, with that? Second.
No, I had motion to recommend to the full board the River Ridge Academy easement.
Yes, I can go with that, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Been moved and seconded to recommend approval to the full board for the River Ridge easement.
Raider Drive.
Pardon?
You said Raider
Raider
Drive.
Drive.
Raider Drive.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. We're now into administrative regulations. Yes, Alice coming in for that.
She is on Zoom.
Okay. And who's going to present first one, which is HRS 5?
Good afternoon. I am here. Robin, can you hear me?
I can hear
Can hear
you.
you.
Yes.
I don't seem to have a copy.
The staff contract and compensation.
Yes, the first one is staff compensation. You have it?
Yes. There is just a very few,
You have it? Yeah. Okay. All right, just go ahead.
okay. So in staff contracts and compensation, the only change that's made in this AR is B2, it's now B1, and I'm sorry, B2, and it's teachers must hold a valid South Carolina educator's certificate in order to be recommended to receive a contract for the new school year. That's the only change made in this AR.
And we also added, Ms. Walton, the purpose that it established superintendent's expectations for compliance with the coherent governance manual too. That was the only other one.
And then we did all the ARs, Wendy?
And we added the governance policies. Yes, ma'am, we did. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Any questions from committee members?
None. Thank you.
Mr. Smith?
The next one is HRS 16, staff leave and absences. And the changes in this AR is section FG or section G. Transfer of sick leave, an employee of a South Carolina state agency. We've changed state agent South Carolina to clarify the agency. And then we also added up to a maximum of 90 days, and that is in compliance with the state statute.
Mhm. That's right.
That is the only change.
Bereavement leave, bereavement leave.
Bereavement leave.
Yes, and bereavement leave, we changed the first in one, we changed 3 and 6 to a maximum of 6 days. Where before we had it delineated, you could get up to 6 days or up to 3 days, but an employee had to ask for additional days. This takes away the need for an employee to call and ask for additional approval in order to get the maximum amount of sick days allowed.
And then in paragraph 2.
Paragraph 2. This is the same thing. It does. The first was the leave for, it delineate what the leaves were for. The immediate family is in number 1, and the additional family members are in number 2. Immediate family, you could get up to 6 days. Additional family members up to 3 days. So it changed in both. You no longer have to get approval to get the maximum 5 days.
Okay.
I think the next one is 11 that we have struck from the leave AR and added it to the HRS 18.1. That is correct, Dale, right?
That is correct, Alice.
Okay. And our next one is 18.1, annual leave pay. We adjusted this AR to match the approvals that the board gave us last year to and C, employees. I don't have that in front of me. Dale, will you take that one?
In A, yeah. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Dale.
Will you take that one, Dale?
Yeah, on 18.1, well, we already had the annual leave policy. So all we did was we removed those 2 paragraphs from HRS 16 to include it into the pay side. We felt that it made more sense and be placed in 18.1 since it talked about compensation of accruals. So we moved the reimbursement of the unused sick days and the payment of the lump sum vacation days upon retirement to this policy.
Okay. Any questions by committee members?
Yes, actually, on the first, on the HHR, this HHRS,
Which number?
16.
Which one?
on 5,
5, staff
Aye.
compensation.
yes, that on.
Is that one?
was one you just said that it was state law. This is what I might have. It might have been Admin Reg HHR 16. Was that the one that you said that was state laws?
Yeah, she talked about the maximum number of days that you can bring over from another state agency, which is 90 days.
Right. When you get a chance, if you can just put a copy of that state law or that reg in board docs or email that to me or to the board, just so that just if you can refer to that, I would definitely I would definitely appreciate that.
We can do that.
Thank you, Ms. Walden. I appreciate that.
Anything else?
I believe that is it at this time.
Mr. Nay, do you have any questions?
I do not. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on. How about what have we got here?
Resignations and professional.
Resignation of professional staff, HRS 31.
Yes. And in this AR, the substantive change is we have added the requirement that if certified staff is resigning from the district, they must resign in the summer before June 1. And if they resign during the school year without a valid reason or extenuating circumstance, we can, as a district, request that the state sanction their certificate for breach of contract. Right now, all we have in our policy is you must give us a 30-day notice. But what we have been finding is people don't necessarily give us 30 days and they leave in the middle of a contracted year, which places us in a bind to fill those positions. So we are moving to exercise our right as given by state code to have certificates sanctioned if a certified employee reneges or breaches their contract for a school year. That's the change in this AR.
I have a question about that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. Nay.
Are we concerned that this may push people away or make the hiring of new people a little suspect or at least challenging? Is that seems like something, pardon me for my ignorance, is that a common thing in contracts? If you quit, with less than 30-day notice, we're going to sanction your license or
Mr. Nay, what we have found in the last 2 years, I would say 3 years, especially in the last 2 years, most districts are moving toward this because we've had such exodus with people going and coming. The only thing in the law that protects us right now is if someone leaves us, they can't sign another contract with another school district, but it still puts us in a bind. So I monitor every month the activity of the State Board of Education, where certificates are sanctioned for whatever reason. And the breach of contract has gone up at least by 150% in the last 2 years because teachers are moving anytime during the year, and it's really putting everybody in a bind. They all know that this happens, and I can tell you that Greenville is notorious for that. Every month, they have at least 6 or 7 teachers on the sanction list for breach of contract. My counterpart in Richland, too, says if they did not hold teachers accountable in terms of their contract, they wouldn't have teachers in the classroom.
Okay, well, I mean, if it's a common practice throughout the state and we're on level playing ground with everybody else that's doing the same thing, I don't see an issue with it. Sorry, my German Shepherd's freaking out because you can hear people talking and can't see them.
No. And Ms. Walton's correct. There is a state statute that allows the State Board of Education to sanction an educator certificate for up to 1 year. The state board has the authority to suspend that certificate for breach of contract, as Ms. Walton's discussing.
Anything else, Mr. Nay?
No, thank you very much. That answered my question.
And so in terms, this is we don't vote on each other, right? We don't vote.
No.
You know, we don't vote on this, but one thing I will say is that I'm definitely because of some of some of the things that Mrs. Nay stated earlier, I'm definitely not in support of this. And I can just I've talked to teachers who don't go to districts because of that, as he stated, but also it's a concern because what could happen is, I think that could also be looked as a slippery slope, because why would you also want to keep a teacher in a environment that a teacher may not want to be kept in? So, now you have you're forcing a teacher to come to school for a whole year and not teach students, and you're forcing, she said, if you leave, then I'm going to take your license from you for a year, however long. And I think that is it could be a slippery slope, but it's just not something that I can support, because I don't see it to be good. And I think that if a teacher don't want to be there, then let them go, because they may not be beneficial to us. So I just don't support this.
Ms. Walt, do you have any reaction to that?
Mr. Smith, that has been our attitude for the last 20 years. That if a teacher doesn't want to be there, then just let them go. While you can look at it that way, it doesn't do you any good to not let teachers know that there is a consequence if you walk away from a contract. Every other business in the world, you just don't walk away from your contract, because you're going to put people in a bind. We're not going to hold you if you have extenuating circumstances. If you have a family illness and you have to go back home, we're not talking about that. We're only talking about those teachers who say, I just don't want to do this anymore. I'm quitting, and leave everybody up in limbo. We have to have some way to hold teachers accountable. And if they don't want to be here, and if they think they have to leave, I don't believe they will come in the first place, Mr. Smith. I think they would just bypass us altogether.
Yeah. And the other problem, Alice, is that we hope that this will reduce the number of resignations that we get late in July and the beginning of August, because at that time, all your good quality teachers, they're gone. And we're going to enter the new school year with multiple vacancies that we could have avoided had we had an instrument in place like this.
Can I ask a quick, so is this also something with competition between districts for teachers? In other words, we've signed a contract with Beaufort County and they're ready to come, but then Greenville County reaches out to them and says, hey, how about coming here and we'll give you a little bonus or whatever else. Is that happening?
Yes, that happens. That happens. And for us, we've had a lot of trouble with teachers believing that they should wait until the very end of the school year, at the end of June, in the middle of July, because they believe if they resign when the school year ends, it is going to carry their insurance coverage over. So they want to stay covered for the summer, and then they come and tell us they're resigning in July. And at that time, we can't fill those positions. So this encourages them to just bite the bullet if you're not coming back. And many of these teachers know they are not going to come back, but they just hold on to the contract until the last minute. And Mr. Smith, to your point, if you find that teachers are going to resign in the middle of the school year, most of those people have health issues, family concerns, and they have to move away.
That may be so. Oh, you not finished? That may be so in some cases, but in other cases, there may just be other cases where teachers may feel that the environment and the climate is not healthy, it's not good for them to be in. So, you know, the district may not be able to get some type of resolve in that climate. So therefore, they may feel for the best interest of their someone and their health and their mental that they may need to leave. So I mean, you know, I've heard that. So I also through my course of being on the board. So that is what's is alarming to me. But also my question too is how many other districts in South Carolina that actually hold that actually have to have this. My question is how many districts in South Carolina that actually have this in their ranks? How many districts actually do this?
Over 50%.
Yeah, even Jasper, if you sign your contract with Jasper County, they are not going to let you out of your contract under any circumstances. They will sanction your certificate from Jasper County if you leave. That's a guarantee.
Okay. I think that is the last topic. And the future topics? Future topics?
And that we'll talk about was coming up in terms of that was this study. But in terms of bringing stuff back in house, that's coming.
Oh, that's going to the finance committee.
Okay.
I don't know the date.
Okay, no problem. I'll check.
Okay. Mr. Nay, do you have any future topics?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Ms. Boatwright or Mr. Campbell, do you have any future topics?
Mr. Campbell's still there, but Ms. Boatwright is not. Mr. Campbell probably.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I think last time Mr. K was here, wasn't he? The district after. Yes. I'd like to know what moving in that position, what is his what's the direction of our athletic department and what we can look forward to. I'd like to kind of get an update on that in terms of athletics and what being the district AD, what is that going to bring to the table versus resources that we didn't have having him, what's that going to bring to the table now?
So that's under Miss Walton. So Miss Walton, did you hear that request?
Oh, she's
sorry. Yes, so we'll make sure that.
What is the topic again?
I'm sorry, I was talking to a principal. Will you repeat that, please?
Basically, now that we have a district AD, just want to see, I know in a minute it's going to come around quick. We're probably going to have the coaches convocation. And basically, I just want to see with having a district AD, basically what does that look like and what changes will that bring to the district and what will be the function of that?
Now that we have a district AD, that is going to bring a lot of changes. The coaches conversation is on his plate right now for adjusting. And what it looks like, I don't know, but he will bring that to the table before the convocation is called. So is the operation committee asking for something special around that?
Yes, actually, the question is basically what is his plans on the district AD to and what does that look like? And in turn, with us having to do the district AD, what does that look like?
What does it look like for the schools and the athletic directors?
As a district AD for Beaufort County, to him and moving forward, what does that look like? I would like to understand the process of where we're going as a district and what was all our functions, will that job serve, and just understanding basically understanding the principles of that job and what is that like? What did he do? Basically, who, where, when, why, and how.
This is job description. It sounds like what you're asking for is his job description.
A job description, but also in terms of what is his plans for the district, for maybe for the next 6 months or whatever, however he plan out.
Mrs. Smith, I'll be happy to have Mr. Cave come to an operations committee meeting and talk to you about his plans. But the overarching purpose for that position is to make sure that the district and all schools, all athletic directors, and all sports fall and are covered under state, federal, and local laws, including Title IX.
That's a big one.
Title IX and 7, Dale.
Yeah. I was just reiterating on the Title IX. That's a big issue.
That's a big piece. And he is going to make sure that consistent practices happen across the district and in all schools based on the district's expectations for the athletic department.
Right, and that's basically those things are kind of what I want to hear. And also, I know now that we're going to go into the summers, they will be hiring a lot of schools, will be hiring a lot of coaches. As from his aspect and the district aspect, what would that look like from the district standpoint? So that's questions too. He can come to us and explain what that process will look like. As in, we have a couple schools right now who don't have athletic directors. What will that process and what does that process look like?
I can tell you now.
Something to do with it, or
I can tell you now. Yes, he does.
Okay. Right, but what I'm saying is that those are just questions that I have that I like him to bring forward to come and educate us on basically what the functions of a district athletic director versus a regular athletic director.
Okay.
Okay, I think we got that. Victor, go ahead.
Yeah, is that the operations committee job, or is that something that the school board should be directing the superintendent to have the athletic director come and give his vision for a way forward?
If it's goals related, superintendent to bring, because an individual shouldn't be talking about their specific goals.
Yeah,
so he's right.
That should be
The superintendent's.
full board agenda item.
It's the superintendent to come and report. As he said in another position, it's not for the board to ask about the staff specific goals, but if you are talking about the job description, or as what Alice had said, bringing back from her because she is the person, but asking about staff specific goals, that's not for the board to, that's the superintendent.
Well, in terms of the function then, so not his goals in terms of his function, and I'm sure when we're telling in terms of his function, his goals were going there, and we're going there at some point in time because his goals should align up anyway within the superintendent goals or within the district goals. So to me, you coming and saying what your goals are, obviously you interview for the position, so therefore you should know what the district goals are because your goals should line up with the district goals. So I mean, I hear what you're saying, but to me, that really have the most merit because your goals should be district goals. That's the point of district hiring you.
Job description and the function of the district's aiding.
Yeah.
Job description.
Got it.
Function of the
Thank you.
district.
Okay. I'd like.
Wendy's hands up as well.
Okay. Just before Ms. Carteret talks
Yes.
about. Is this about this topic, Ms. Carteret?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to mention to all of you that Jillian and I have been working with Mr. Cave in updating the athletics administrative regulation. And Mr. Cave is very diligent in ensuring that we're in compliance with the state high school league rules, our South Carolina statutes and laws, and the federal rules. And he's already made so many improvements. So hopefully next month we'll have that athletic administrative regulation ready to discuss with you all. And I'll see if he's available, but he's working very hard.
Okay, I think, good.
Thank you.
I have an issue, and that issue has been brought to my attention from a principal. He is concerned about the turnover of kids going to Right Choices from his school and the services that they get in Right Choices and what kind of documentation that he gets as far as what counseling that child received, what progress that child has made in behavioral issues, if that's the issue. When that child comes back to him from Right Choices. So that process between school, Right Choices, and back to school, I believe that would be something for our student services folks to come in and talk about that to this committee before we bring it to the full board. Did you?
Yeah, but I thought we already requested that because I remember last time I think we asked about what the judge and what that process looked like, because I told you I had those same complaints and about what that process looked like, and parents felt that the kids were uneasy even going in there from hearing from him. But anyways, I believe we already discussed that last meeting. I thought that was coming for this meeting.
Yeah, no, we need to grab that. Okay. Anything else, Mr. Nay?
No, thank you. Appreciate you.
Do you have a motion to adjourn?
Before we adjourn, we need to go ahead and schedule the next meeting so that we can,
Good.
and if we can find a consistent time if possible.
Yeah.
Mr. Nay, you said you are available on the second Tuesday of the month.
Yes, my Tuesdays are free. I just keep all Tuesdays open.
So the next one could be April the 11th.
Second Wednesday.
That's spring break.
That's not a good time.
That's not a good time.
Yeah, I'll be at Disney World.
We can do it Tuesday, April 25th. Does that?
I'm good with that. I can do that.
Yeah, that should be. We don't want to go back to the clock meetings.
April 25th. Mr. Nay can.
We can't meet on Wednesdays.
Can't meet on this. April 25th. April 25th.
So April 25th at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Sounds good. For me.
Okay, that's fine. Do that.
Okay.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's it, 1700.